on the firing line. Had to get the hillbilly stuff out of the way. You've heard the story of Paul and Silas, how they were bound and thrown into jail. They didn't worry, they kept on praying. They were serving the God that cannot fail. Then after midnight, God sent an earthquake. All foundations began to shake. Those prison doors swung open wide. Paul and Silas stepped outside. He will deliver me in my time of need, like those Hebrew children from the fire he'll free. Well, he fed 5,000 with 2 fishes and bread, and he walked on the water and he raised the dead. Well, he stood by Daniel in the lion's den, and he saved old Moses from Pharaoh's hand. Open the eyes of the blind to see. I know that he'll deliver me. Well, it was David, my God delivered, when before Goliath he did stand. He had no armor, he took no weapons, just a stone and sling in his hand. Then he went running to meet that army. He saw that Philistine man who stood so tall. He said, I come to you in the name of the Lord, and you know that mighty man did fall. He will deliver me in my time of need, like those Hebrew children from the fire he'll free. Well, he fed 5,000 with 2 fishes and bread, and he walked on the water and he raised the dead. catch my breath. I'm getting too old for this. This is a hymn, right out of the hymn book. You'll recognize it. It's He leadeth me, O blessed thought, O words with heavenly comfort thought. Whate'er I do, where'er I be, still 'tis God's hand that leadeth me. He leadeth me, He leadeth me, by His own hand He leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by His hand He leadeth me. Sometimes it seems of deepest gloom, sometimes where Eden's bowers bloom, by waters still or troubled sea, 'tis God's hand that leadeth me. And when my task on earth is done, when by His grace the victory's won, even death's cold wave I will not flee, since God through Jordan leadeth me. He leadeth me, He leadeth me, by His own hand He leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by His hand He leadeth me. For by His hand He leadeth me. I wasn't ready for that. I wanted to tell you something first. He does lead us. I believe that He does lead us. I don't always understand how He leads us. Most of you have heard me say all of this before. I don't understand diseases that come upon us. I don't understand how He directs our paths through these things, and I don't quite always understand how that's supposed to be working for our good, although I believe that it somehow is. We may not even figure that out until later. But I do believe that He leads us. Francis and I had talked about doing something like this for a while, and we had worked on some things and started practicing a little bit to put something like this together. And she got to where she couldn't remember the words to the songs. Sometimes now I'm not even sure that she remembers that she can sing. She can most of the time. I think we sing a little bit together when somebody comes into the church and into the nursing home with a church service, and if they sing something that she knows, she might sing 2 or 3 words of it. I can't hear her enough to know that she's she's singing harmony or not. But she just had the most beautiful alto voice that it just was natural. That's the natural way that she sang. She didn't have to think, this is the alto notes. It just came out that way. Teresa talked to me the other day, and she said Frances just glowed, and she really did. She had expression on her face if she saw you, and she just, the smile just covered her face, and she just glowed. And now she's not quite as glowing. Every once in a while she'll laugh a little bit and she'll smile sometimes. I don't understand the way that he leads and those kind of things. On this song, you can hear her singing alto. It's on the soundtrack. If I can remember the words.
Francis operated equipment too.
The way that I miss singing with her. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in His grace this hour? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Lay aside your garments that are stained with sin, and be washed in the blood of the Lamb. There's a fountain flowing for the soul unclean. Oh, be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? If you are, then you can go with me, because I'm going to live forever. I'm gonna live forever. I'm starting right now. I've already died with Jesus, so death won't hold me down. My past is all behind me. Heaven's just ahead. I'm gonna live forever. Praise God, I'm glory bound. Doctors work to make us strong and take away our pain. Pills for this, pills for that, you just won't be the same. Let me tell you of a plan where you won't have to die. The doctor's name is Jesus, and He reigns from on high. I'm gonna live forever. I'm starting right now. I've already died with Jesus, so death won't hold me down. My past is all behind me. Heaven's just ahead. I'm gonna live forever. Praise God, I'm glory bound. The Bible says that we must die to self and sin and death. It's all right there in Romans 6 where Paul explains it best. If we die with Jesus, He'll raise us to new life, and we can live forever in the glory by and by. If you'll come to Jesus, He's waiting now for you. He'll rid you of the heartaches that make you sad and blue. And if you obey Him, He'll move right in your heart. And when death comes calling, why sure it's going to stop. This is my statement on worldviews. Not really. Sort of. Not really. I wrote this a long time ago, and I never could get anybody to sing it. Still haven't. You probably know why after I get through. But I'd go places, I'd go hear people sing, or hear people preach. Invariably, somewhere in the talk, they would say, look at all that's going on in our world today. I think it's time. And then they would tell you what they thought it was time for. It's either time for a revolt or a rebellion or for the Lord to come or whatever it was that they had in mind. And so I went home and I sat down and I thought, this is what I think it's time for. And so I wrote, I think it's time to put the Bible back in school. It's a long time ago now, when I was in school, we had prayer and Bible reading in school, almost up into high school. Teacher had a Bible on the desk. Wasn't against the law. When I was in elementary school, we had a lady come into the classroom. I can't remember whether she came once a week or once every other week. May have even been once a month. Her name was Miss Steph. I can remember her name. And she would come in and she would teach us a little Bible story and maybe sing some choruses. In elementary school, Holston Heights Elementary School in Bristol, Tennessee, was the first place I ever heard anybody sing, do Lord, oh, do remember me. And I was just second or third grade, somewhere in there. But Miss Steph would come in and she would teach a little Bible story and some choruses, and we'd sing. Nobody complained. No parents got upset. I think our world was better off. Anyway, I wrote, I think it's time to put the Bible back in school. I think it's time to restore the golden rule. You know what the golden rule is? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We even joked about it when I was a kid, do unto others before they do unto you. Little did we know back then that that would be the way things are in this day and age. And then I said, I think it's time to walk the narrow way and let our lights shine for Jesus each day. But I changed all of that. Because I decided that it's not the government's responsibility to put the Bible in the school. It's not the school board's responsibility. It's not the school board's responsibility to teach us about the golden rule or to how we're supposed to live our lives and walk the narrow way. It's the church. It's the church's job. And so I changed it. And I said, I think it's time for the church to stand strong. I think it's time to put the armor on. And I'm not talking about bulletproof vests and concealed carry permits and all of that. I'm talking about the helmet of salvation and the breastplate of righteousness and our loins girded about with truth and our feet shod with the preparation of the gospel. And in one hand, we hold the shield of faith, and in the other hand, we wield the sword of the Spirit. I think it's time for the church to stand strong. I think it's time to put the armor on. I think it's time to wield the Spirit's sword as we go forth the army of the Lord. It's my political statement. children carry guns to school, but they're not allowed to pray. Hatred and fear, violence and crime seem to rule our land. My friends, the alarm is ringing. Let's rise up and take our stand. I think it's time for the church to stand strong. I think it's time to put the armor on. I think it's time to wield the Spirit's sword as we go forth, the army of the Lord. We ignore the commands of our Maker. We can't put them on public display, or they might offend, or they might bring guilt to those who seek their own way. There's a way that seems right in man's eyes, but it leads to death, don't you see? It's time we go back to God's plan and follow the way He leads. I think it's time for the church to stand strong. I think it's time to put the armor on. I think it's time to wield the Spirit's sword as we go forth, the army of the Lord. I think it's time to wield the Spirit's sword as we go forth, the army of the Lord. I was telling you a while ago, the first song I ever sung, this is almost 60 years ago, Evergreen Christian Church. This is it. This is not Helen playing the piano, but this is the song. I'd rather have Jesus than silver or gold. I'd rather be His than have riches untold. I'd rather have Jesus than houses or land. remember what you were doing when you were 16 years old? Can you remember when you were 16 years old? Some of you would have an easier time of that than others of us. This young man was 16 years old. His name is Weatherston. He went to a revival meeting when he was 16 years old, came to know Christ as his Savior, and went home and wrote this poem, 16 years old. He started going to church, took the poem with him to the minister of music at the church, and they put a melody with it, sang it in church one Sunday, and it just flopped. Sort of like some of the things I've written, I guess. But he sent it to an aunt who lived out in Los Angeles, and she thought it was great, and she sent it to a friend of hers in England, and somebody in the Church of England put a melody with it, and it became so popular that it ended up in the hymn book of the Church of England. And after so many years, it made its way back to the United States. And it's in most of our hymn books today. 16 years old when he wrote the words. For thee all You can sing along. I want you to sing along on this. You recognize it. You know it. I know absolutely. I have no doubts that you know what it is. You got it? Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. There is a name I love to hear. I love to sing its word. It sounds like music to my ear. The sweetest name on earth. Now sing it out. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. It tells me of the Savior's blood, who died to set me free. It tells me of his precious blood, the sinner's perfect plea. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. Sing it again now. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. Because he first loved me. The Bible tells us of a situation where Jesus was teaching. I don't know if he was on a hillside. They had a multitude of people. I think the Bible says about 5,000 people. And went past lunchtime. Wasn't any of my sermons. Anyway, the Lord looked over at Philip and he said, Philip, how are we going to feed these people? Philip didn't have a clue. There wasn't a McDonald's on the corner, there wasn't a grocery store, and if there had been fast food places and grocery stores, there wouldn't have been enough money in the treasury to buy food for 5,000 people. But Andrew, on the other hand, had been scrounging around in the crowd and found a little boy, had a lunch. I don't know if it was a sack lunch. I don't know if they had sacks. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a Mickey Mouse lunchbox. But somehow he had this lunch wrapped up, 5 loaves and 2 fish. But even Andrew was skeptical, because he brought the little boy to Jesus and he said, Lord, I've looked all around and this is all I could find. But what is that to so many people? You know the story. Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, blessed it and broke it, and they passed it out in the crowd. And when everybody had eaten all they wanted to eat, they gathered up the leftovers and had 12 baskets full of food for leftovers. Sometimes we judge situations like that as things are inadequate. We're not in a building program, but first question that's always asked is, how are we going to pay for it? We don't have enough money to do this, and we can't do that, and we just don't have resources to take care of these things. And we judge those situations impassable. And sometimes we just throw up our hands and quit because we've judged the situation not to be anything that we can do or anything that we can solve. And sometimes we do that with people too. We look at people, and if they don't quite measure up to somebody's standards, then we're ready to judge and condemn and cast them aside. I just thought, it would be so much better if we could just say, Lord, you're the shepherd. Let me be the sheep, and I'll go in the way that you lead. All right, I guess I turned it off. They listened intently as they sat at his feet. Then they became hungry as the day grew long. Would Jesus feed them or send them all home? The Lord turned to Philip, saying, where's the food? At this point, poor Philip didn't know what to do. But Andrew brought to Jesus a lad with his lunch, saying, here's all we have, Lord. I know it's not much. Lord, take my lunch, the little boy said. Take it and use it, it's yours to command. Though small and unimportant in this world it may be, when blessed by your hand, Lord, this crowd it can feed. So Jesus took the small lunch and blessed it that day. The crowd that was hungry was not turned away. They gathered 12 baskets after all had their fill. Great things can happen when we trust in His will. But sometimes we judge when we ought not to judge. We see some person who doesn't measure up to somebody's standards of what they should be. But God looks on the heart of you and me. Lord, here's my life, it's all that I have. Take it and use me, I'm yours to command. Though small and unimportant in this world I may be, you are shepherd, let me be your sheep. Lord, here's my life, it's all that I have. Take it and use me, I'm yours to command. Small and unimportant in this world I may be. You are the shepherd, let me be your sheep. You are the shepherd, Lord. I just want to be one of your sheep. I'm satisfied with just the cottage below, a little silver and a little gold. But in that city where the ransomed will shine, I want a mansion that's silver line. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop in that bright land where we'll never grow old. And someday yonder we will never more wander, but walk on streets that are pure as gold. Don't think me poor or deserted or lonely. I'm not discouraged. I'm heaven bound. I'm just a pilgrim in search of a city. I want a mansion, a harp and a crown. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop in that bright land where we'll never grow old. And someday yonder we will never more wander, but walk on streets that are pure as gold. I've got a mansion just over the hilltop, and we'll walk on streets that are pure as gold. And we'll get there one day because of the grace of God. In holy pages, this truth can be found. A promise to stand greater than sin. Grace will always be greater than sin. Calvary has proven time and again. Whatever you've done, wherever you've been, God's grace will always be greater than sin. Listen now. Broken and bruised by the choices you made. Sin has a price that so often you pay. Oh, but Jesus is waiting. Hold now in Him, and grace will always greater than grace will always be greater than sin. to Jesus, you'd be ready to go to meet him, ready to go stand in his presence, a holy and righteous God. Ready to go. I think you probably are too. We're about done. One more song. This is the last song. I appreciate you coming and sitting and listening. He left a throne in heaven to come to Bethlehem, and I cannot forget the way he loved me even then. And everywhere he traveled, he spoke with words of love that said he'd go any distance to show what I was worthy of. And when at last that dusty road turned to Calvary, he picked up I wasn't on that hillside to see him on the tree. But as my guilt was placed upon him, I know that somehow he saw me. And he loved me with a cross. He loved me with a cross. In answer to the call of love, he loved me with the cross. I do appreciate you coming.